Hello and happy Monday. Welcome to Freedom March. Thank you for joining us. I'm Levin Miller. We are on 103.5 FM The Beat. We're on channel 224. We're on channel 112. That's on cable and on Flow TV. And of course, we are on ILTV Studios right here on Facebook. Before we begin this show, right, I've got to get some housekeeping out of the way. A great orator once said, "I'm no fool, no siree. I'm going to live to be 103. I'm going to make this world safe for you and me because I'm no fool." And so with that said, right, I have to be sure that I do this at the beginning of this show. Yesterday was Mother's Day. I happen to have a mother. I want to take this opportunity here to again say Happy Mother's Day to my mother. In my view, she's the best ma that I ever had. And so I sent Mother's Day regards to her on Friday, but apparently no one heard that. And so I'm sending Happy Mother's Day regards to my mother again. Because, mommy, guess what? None of these other mothers' son got no show to say Happy Mother's Day to them on. And so, since I have show to say it on, I say it Friday, I saying it again, and none of their son have the opportunity to do this, right? And so to my mother, Elsa Miller, who is the best mother I ever had. And I want to just also say that no one have a son like you. You see what kind of mother you is? And since no one have a son like you, I guess it is reasonable to suggest that no one have a mommy like me. Please play the video of my mother so everybody could see what my mother looked like. And so Elsa, continue to enjoy your Mother's Day window from Friday to now. Continue to enjoy your gift of having a son not in Fox Hill Prison. Isn't it a wonderful gift to have? And I hope that you enjoy all of the festivities that were happening this weekend. And so tell all them other mothers out there, their son can't shake a stick next to your son. And that's your one gift, that every year you get to have a fantastic son. And so there you have it. I've sent my Mother's Day regards to my mother. So when you all see her out, just you all make sure you all take care of my ma, 'cause she's the best ma I ever had. Anyway, let's get back to the business. Bradley Roll is here with me in studio. Spiritual advisor Bradley Roll, how are you?
I'm doing well, thank you so much. Good to be here.
Yeah, you see my mommy?
You look just like your mother.
You think so?
Yeah, I'm telling you.
So they ain't lie?
You look just like your mother.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, so apparently she didn't hear my shout out on Friday. And she said, "I see all the other people picture up. I see no picture of me." And she was right, I had no picture, but I sent the shout out. But praise be to God, these other mommy, they son don't have no show. And so since I have show, I sent it again today. And so we'll be right back after the break. Leave it. Welcome back to Freedom March. Thank you for staying with us through the break. I'm Levan Miller. We are on 103.5 FM The Beat. Bradley Rose, the spiritual advisor, is here with me. And Bradley, do we have Holy Scripture?
Yeah, we got a short
Well, tell us what
passage.
Holy Scripture says to us today.
Absolutely. The book of Matthew, chapter 9. Very quickly, a few verses. The calling of Matthew, the tax collector. As Jesus went on from there, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the tax collector's booth. Follow me, he told him, and Matthew got up and followed him. So while Jesus was having dinner at Matthew's house, many tax collectors and sinners came and ate with him and his disciples. And when the Pharisees saw this, they asked his disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" On hearing this, Jesus says, "It is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. But go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifice. For I have not come to call righteous, but sinners to repentance." Matthew 9, chapter 9, verses 9 to 13. I read from the NIV. The
Wow.
word of God is always blessed.
Wow.
Amen.
And so the gospel is indeed for the Gentiles.
Absolutely all.
Wow.
It's
That
for
is
all,
amazing.
Jews and Gentiles. Make no mistake.
Wow. That is fantastic.
Indeed.
So, spiritual advisor, fun fact. Today is May
12.
12th. Is it? No, today
10th
is
was
May
Saturday.
11th. Today is May 12th.
Yeah, the 12th, yeah.
Right. So if my calculations are correct, that would mean that this weekend is synonymous or synoptic to the weekend of May 10th, 1980.
Right.
May 10th was a Saturday.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. May 11th was the Mother's Day.
Mm-hmm.
May 12th was the day that what was it? Was it May 11th? Was the day that the Cubans were still on board Ragged Island tormenting
That may have been
the
the
residents?
11th.
That was the 11th.
Because the incident happened on
So
the
today
evening.
would be the day that the boys returned home. So right around this time, maybe about 40 minutes ago, would be around the same time 45 years ago, the Captain Whitfield Neely and his friends, of course, Amos Roll, the commander, all made it back home, right? And so I thought to myself, for the people that do archive time, right? Arnold Wilson is one of the people that come to my mind when I think about it. Like, I wonder, do people even remember where they were? Like, when they heard the news, do people remember where they were? What was the effect of the news on them? Like, for instance, in my life's history, the one shocking moment is September 11th.
Yeah.
I know exactly where I was
I can
the
remember
day
it was
September
too.
11th happened.
Yeah.
I was in library class at Prince William in the Grace Corps building. And my librarian at the time, Miss Russell, she was there trying to get us to be quiet. No one ever really listened to Miss Russell, but she used to broker a deal with us and tell us if we be quiet, she would let us watch the TV. And since that was such a good deal, I think we took that deal and we were watching the TV when all of a sudden the TV went to news because all channels were on the news at that point. And there you saw the plane circling the World Trade Center and boom, crashing into the World Trade Center, subsequently ending in what we now know to be September 11th.
Right.
And so I wonder, since this is an occasion in history where the weekend of May 10th happens almost exactly like it did 45 years ago. Do you recall where you were?
May 10th,
May 11th?
1980, no.
No, you can't remember. How old were you?
That's just so far back. Probably 14, 15.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so for those of you that are out there, I don't know, maybe Arnold Wilson is out there, that can recall, where were you when the news broke? Like, what were you up to? What was the thought in your mind? So we're talking about maybe someone that is, I would say, 60, 64, 65, maybe 70, would have a firm account of
Yeah.
where they
Definitely.
were, what were they doing, etc., etc.
Somebody at 70, definitely.
Yeah. So if you're out there and you have any thought in your mind about the day that you knew of the event, because it wouldn't have been the day of the event, it would have been after, because the comms were not what they are today, right? Tell us whenever we do open up the phone line. But I want to show you all, spiritual advisor, because we talked about this Friday, about what the HMBS Flamingo looked like. Producer, show me the picture of the HMBS Flamingo so that people can see that the entire crew of the HMBS Flamingo was outgunned the entire time. Do we have the picture? Let's take me to the picture of the HMBS Flamingo. There she is. That is what the HMBS Flamingo looks like.
It's a beautiful ship.
So if you look on the bow, you would see that there was I think there may have been a 20 cal. I don't think it's a 50 cal. It looks too small, right? So there's a 20 cal mounted on the bow of the vessel, right? You remember Captain Neely talked all along about the dory of the ship or the rubber boat, right?
That's that orange?
That is the orange little thing. That little orange thing there is what Captain Neely saved the lives of those men in.
Right. So how do you get that into the water?
So there is a crane. If you know the way the ship is designed, if you look more closely at the picture, we can't zoom this in. If you look more closely at the picture, you will see a gray kind of arm hanging over the dory. This is a good producer. That is a crane.
A gray?
Yeah. You see the orange part of the boat, and then you look right aft of the orange part, that is a crane, and if my military language is still correct, I think they call it a davit, right? Because you know the Brits have a name for everything.
Okay.
So while you're underway, once the CO makes the order to put the dory alongside, you pick it up with that little crane. The engineers do this. You load it with the crew. You start it. They load it right down, either port side or starboard side, whichever side is the better side. And boom, once they get you loose, you let the cable go and you go for it.
Okay.
Right? Nowadays, I think it's a whole lot more fancy. Like, I think these new boats could spit you out the back or something like that, something crazy. So that is the vessel that they picked up all of the boys on, that same little orange thing.
Wow.
You remember he said that there were 3 shots. One to the engine room. That would be right where that smokestack is. You see the smokestack. The smokestack is that little piece right ahead of the orange boat. He said one.
Oh, I see that, yeah.
One would have been along the radio room area. So you see men look like they're in that bridge, that open bridge piece.
I see that, yeah.
That's called an open bridge. Right below that, if I'm not incorrect, would be where the radio room was. This is why no one knew the Flamingo was attacked until those boys made it to Ragged Island, because they weren't able to get any comms off.
Oh, no communication.
Correct. So their ship-to-shore radios, which is the Hanel ones, they're not ship-to-shore. What is the name? Help me with the name, PDF people. The Hanel radios wouldn't work, not for that range. The ship's radio would have gone down or went down in the attack of the smokestack, which is where the engine room would be, the little room under the open bridge, which is where the radio room would be, and then a third hole at a water line, which is right beneath the number that says P02. The Flamingo stood 0 chances of surviving that.
Wow.
And so from the minute the attack happened, this ship was in peril and swiftly taking on water. Cladwell Farrington accounts that he was the radio operator on duty at the attack, and when the missile hit that little room there, pieces of melting steel bore into his flesh.
Wow.
Yeah. He could not get any comms off. And so Captain Amos Roll tried to somehow sail this ship. It couldn't, because he lost power. Captain Neely talked about the shuttering of the ship. You remember he said the ship started to shake because she lost power. The only asset left would be the orange dory that was alongside, or that at this time was tied up to the captured vessel. Those boys started making good their escape off of the port side of the vessel. And you recall he says that Captain Amos Roll was still in the open bridge trying to put out a fire when he told him, Skip, Commander, we've got to let's go. So he would then make his way down a very narrow ladder to the port side of the vessel to also abandon ship as the final person.
Wow.
Yeah. So just so you put it in context, what is it? Three MiG-11s, zip pass, warning shot, straight the bow. The second one comes and takes out the engine room, the radio room, and the water line. Everything after that is a survival mission.
Wow.
But again, the account of Captain Anthony Allens is, had it not been for Whitfield Neely and the little rubber boat, there would be 19 dead men.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the context. So if you remember where you were, that's why I'm wearing my pink shirt today, you see, in honor of the Flamingo. And if you remember where you were when we opened the phone lines, I'm happy to talk about that. But today, the hull that is known as the HMBS Flamingo rests somewhere in Davy Jones's locker, never to be seen again. It is in a literal abyss. It is where that incident took place is no man's land. It will never be retrieved. No one will ever see it again. It is gone forever, and it has taken souls with it that are lost but that should never be forgotten. And so, that is my homage to the HMBS Flamingo. Hopefully, that paints the picture a bit more clear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or clearly for those of you that couldn't grasp the concept of why didn't they fire back. I saw someone asking me that somewhere online, why didn't they fire back? They stood no chance. The MiGs were so fast. The MiGs were also so quiet. By the time as they spotted those aircraft, it was too late.
What does that craft look like, a MiG?
The MiG fighter?
I thought it was a helicopter.
No, the helicopter was the one that brought the men to do the search on Ragged Island.
Oh.
Yeah, but the the fighter jets were the ones that buzzed Ragged Island and blew the shingles off.
Let me see what
Right?
MiG
So,
fighter jet
yeah, the
looks
internet
like.
exists. I think it's a MiG-11. All right? So that's what happened 45 years ago in this same weekend window. The days of the week are set up exactly the way it was 45 years ago. But spinning off of that, on the 49th anniversary of the country's history, here is what now Deputy Prime Minister and at the time Acting Prime Minister I. Chester Cooper had to say about what the nation felt towards this incident and how a grateful nation intended to respond. Let's hear from Acting Prime Minister Cooper.
The scream of the jet engines, the barrage of bullets was followed by the sinking of HMBS Flamingo off Key Santo Domingo, and the loss of our 4 young but brave Marines, able seaman Fenric Stirrup, and Marine seamen Austin Smith, David Tucker, and Edward Williams. Although this was the last patrol for HMBS Flamingo, it was a first for the Bahamas. When he eulogized the fallen Marines, Sir Lyndon profoundly said, the Bahamian people had its first real experience of meaning and importance of true patriotism, and learned for the first time that their land of hope is not across the seas, but their own Bahama land. It was and remains a defining moment for the Defense Force and for the Bahamas. 42 years later, it still shapes our national character, values, and strength of our collective resolve to build and protect our Bahama land. We lost blood and treasure that day, but we gained a sense of unwavering courage it takes to face tragedy as a nation and to still continue forward, upward, onward, together. For the bravery and sacrifice of the Marines we lost and those who they once stood alongside, who survived, we could never say enough words of honor to them. And today I am pleased to say to you that next year, during our 50th anniversary, on behalf of our Prime Minister, I will assure the families that the entire crew will receive appropriate recognition and honor.
So that was what was promised. It was 3 years ago. We could be 52 this year. Spiritual advisor, I'm sure if we deliver on that one. And the politicians know that this is one that I take personal. They said that, on the 50th year of the anniversary, we would make sure that the entire crew got the honor that they deserve. I'm sure. Yeah, they got national honors. They're all now national heroes, right? Which is a wonderful honor. This is actually the original crew of the Flamingo when she sailed from London, and not the faithful crew, but some of those men were actually on that ship as well. And so The question now becomes spiritual advisor. Now that we are in our 52nd year, now that the Progressive Liberal Party has had 4 years in power, now that Michael Pintard is saying that we're going to an early election, should we have the conversation about what is adequate compensation for men that are 65, 66, some 70 years old? Many of them have died and gone on. I say, just give them medical insurance for the rest of their lives. Because that is the difference between lower class and middle class in the Bahamas. Where does the ambulance take you in a car accident? That is the difference between lower class and middle class. And I'm saying that these men that have survived should never live beneath the middle class again in this country. The second thing I say is, since we done changed the queen of the $100 bill and we put Eddie Hanna, who, by the way, funny enough, was acting prime minister, just like Chester Cooper was in this little speech.
Yeah.
We should remove the Blue Marlin off of the $100 bill and put the picture of the HMBS Flamingo again for them to see. Wouldn't it be so wonderful to have this ship draped on the back of our $100 bill, a symbol of prominence and national pride for all Bahamians to have access to at some point in their sojourn throughout their citizenship in this country? And you put this and Eddie Hanna, and now you have a perfect marriage and correlation between a man that had foresight and oversight of the most traumatic event in the country's history. And now when your little grandchildren ask you, Nana, because you know nobody's Grammy no more, what this vote for? You could begin to tell the story of what was.
Yeah.
And so that is where I am on it. And for the Family Islands, spiritual advice, because I don't want to leave them out. Government own all kind of land, left and right, front and center. Everywhere you look, government got land. And all I say to them is, fencing one little piece of government land somewhere, put 4 bench in the little fencing area, call it the Flamingo Memorial Park. Build yourself, what you call them little things, a little mausoleum? Mm-hmm. You build yourself a little mausoleum, you engrave the 4 names on it, and every island in this country that you go to, can't cost more than 10. Shannon on, we could get that done for $10 million possibly, but we certainly couldn't start no fire branch. I come into you next. And no matter where you go in this country, there will be an HMBS Memorial Park.
We have photos of those 4 men, right, producer? Yeah.
There they are.
Are they? Yeah.
Austin Smith,
Where's
David Tucker,
Where's Austin Smith?
Edward Williams, Frederick Sturrow. Those are the 4 boys.
Yes.
Those are the boys that we lost that day. Children. I think 24 was the eldest among them. Yeah. Anyway, you hear the jingle. Don't go anywhere. When I get back, we've got a special guest. He's in studio. I'm so happy to see him. I'm Leland Miller. Bradley Roll is with me. This is Freedom March. We'll be right back after the break.
This segment of Freedom March is brought to you by Modernistic Garden and Pet Supply. For top quality dog food, shop online at modernisticgarden.com or visit our Palmdale, Carmichael, and Mullet Marathon locations today.
So it warms my heart that I still continue to see tributes in their own special way. It's amazing what young people are doing with the internet, pouring in for Senator Rodney Munker. Let's get this out of the way, and then I'll take you to that clip. Are your dogs hungry and tired of low-quality food? Give them the best at Modernistic. We carry all the top brands, Taste of the Wild, Diamond Naturals, Victor, Anukshuk, at the lowest prices in town. On a budget, we've got 50-pound bags starting at $49. And for a limited time, buy any large bag of dog food and get a $10 coupon redeemable on select dog toys and treats. Can't make it in? Shop online at www.modernisticgardens.com and we'll deliver right to your door. Your pet deserves quality. Your wallet deserves savings. Shop in store or online today. Hurry. Offer won't last. And so the tributes continue to pour in. And the thing about millennials and zennials I like is they find great humor even in very somber times, right? And Rodney Munker is probably going to go down in history as the most quoted Bahamian in Bahamian history. Saying after saying, no matter what the situation is, you can almost find a Rodneyism to insert into all of life moments, eh? And so here is how the millennials and zennials that are out there have been offering their subtle tributes to Senator Rodney Munker.
Anyway,
Anyhow,
is she big, fat, and black?
no.
Answer it.
She brown.
That's my cousin.
I can't be guessing this right. Let's move on.
It's my cousin. You heard me? It's my cousin.
So the caption on the video read, "When your gal catch you cheating with a girl she already know, here is the perfect response. Is she big, fat, and black?" Only Rodney Munker could get away with saying that. And so I brought a man who has known Rodney for as long as I can remember, which I assure you, he possibly knew him for twice that amount of time.
Over 50 years.
Mr. Nicholas Jacks joins me here in studio this afternoon to kind of talk about the life and memory and good times with his good friend, Rodney Munker. Mr. Jacks.
Yes. First of all, I must say thanks to you for bringing me on the show.
I'm happy to have you.
Because I was borderlining depression.
Wow.
After I couldn't get to say how Rodney and I were such close friends. In fact, I was adopted by his mother to be his brother.
Wow.
And when I heard Spence Finlayson show, probably had a whole day discussing Rodney's passing, and they acknowledged me as Rodney's partner in crime and his best friend. Mm-hmm. And then Fred Mitchell's press release, in his press release, he acknowledged me as Rodney's partner in crime, so to speak. And and I say I've got to wait now to see when Rodney show is going to discuss Rodney's passing and acknowledge me as Rodney's right-hand man or partner in crime, which didn't happen. And that's when I decided to call in one day. But because I had on some headphones and I was on the road, I think something messed up, some technical problem happened. And I wasn't able to, I got through because I could hear y'all, but I'm not sure if y'all were hearing me.
Oh, so you called through before I shouted
before you? Yeah, before you.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I was, and so I was so happy when I heard, but I didn't hear it, but somebody said, man, Leland invite you on the show, He said, must give him a call, and so I said, wow, finally, I'm going to be able to say exactly or some things that Rodney and I did over the years, particularly his political activities, and so I'm here today, and
I'm happy that you're here.
And thank you for having me, man.
Man, the pleasure is mine. And so here's the thing, right? Rodney's passing is something that happened so swiftly. It took my mind maybe a week to tie it together, believe it or not. I almost felt at some point like it was a weird little side joke, right? And if you know Rodney well enough, you know he liked to play journalist, he liked to play taxi driver, he liked to play lawyer. Maybe this is just Rodney playing dead, right? And no, I'm convinced now that obviously if he wasn't dead by now, he would have come back and said, I wanted to see what the Negroes would say. And so I tricked them into thinking that I was dead. But the fact that he hasn't come back to this point, it must be true, right?
He's really dead.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people didn't believe it as well.
Correct.
You know, and it took me days before I come to grips, you know, because most people saw Rodney as the Superman.
Correct.
The
They do not die.
Right.
Right. They do not die, like Clint Eastwood.
But, you know, Rodney and I, as youngsters, we made a vow that we was going to champion the cause of the grassroots, the downtrodden, the marginalized, and those who cannot speak for themselves. And we vowed, and we did that. I can remember when Philip Pinder them tried to go up on the price of the small bread.
Right.
It was, I think it was 19 cents, and they wanted to increase it to 40 cents or something like that. Rodney and I and a couple of our friends, Mariah Salty, Roman Nichols, Gus Fountain, Henry Dummett, Roker, Marilyn Barrett, we grabbed our placard and we demonstrated in front of the Purity Bakery. And we was able to get them to withdraw that.
Right.
You know? So these are things we did over the years. I remember when the PLP decided that they was gonna tax people with private wells.
Okay.
You know, if you had, the hand pumps.
Right.
Yeah, or even if you had just a well where you drop a bucket in, you was gonna be taxed for that. Okay? We grabbed our placards again, went down to the Ministry of Works. Water and sewage wasn't separated at the time. We demonstrated all day, up and down. And you know, we always informed the press.
Right.
So we always got coverage. And Pittenland, Sir Lyndon, and the PLP draw back from that. So there's quite a few things over the years Rodney and I did that made a significant impact to the political arena in the country. I remember when we went in the police headquarters and demonstrated against the Commissioner of Police.
Wow.
And reason being, one of Sir Lyndon's sons got caught with a little joint, and he got a conditional discharge. And so we thought that was unfair for all of those young Bahamian men who got caught with a little joint too, or a half bag of grass, and they end up with a record. Can't travel, can't get a job, find it difficult to get a job. So, you know, Rodney and I sat down and said, you know something? We need to demonstrate against the Commissioner of Police, because the Commissioner of Police didn't even charge him.
Wow.
We went in the headquarters. Can you imagine that?
I can't imagine it.
We went in the jail and we demonstrated against the police, at least the commissioner.
Who was the commissioner?
BK at the time.
BK Barnaby.
BK was
okay.
at the time.
And BK was no nonsense.
No nonsense.
Y'all lucky y'all ain't get dragged by the cuff of y'all pants.
Well, we got dragged. We got arrested. He got arrested. But, you know, at the time, we had so many lawyers with us. Lawyers like Jimmy Knowles, Janie Thompson, Kendall Isaac. They all defended us. And we was discharged with because to begin with, the police charged us with the wrong charge.
Okay.
So we was trespassing.
Okay.
And
you can't trespass on public property.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can't trespass on public
The
property.
headquarters is public property.
Right.
So, you know, that didn't hold up. But nevertheless, we won our case. So these are just some of the things that Rodney and I did over the years. And it made some significant impact to the political arena today.
How did the wilderness come about, Brother Jackson? You always talked about going in the wilderness.
Well, the wilderness
right.
was a part of the plan to form a political party.
Okay.
In fact, we already had a political party called the Workers' Party.
Workers' Party.
Okay, but the wilderness is where Philip Miller, who was a lecturer at the COB at the time, and he had a business in the back there doing vicar work, planting hampers and anything out of vicar.
Sure.
They were him and another guy called Henry Dummett. Probably never heard of him, but they were. So we used to go in the back and hold political meetings.
Okay.
You had people like
Michael Pintard.
Michael Pintard, that's right. Carl Bell.
Yeah.
Dennis Dames.
Yeah.
What's the Campbell lady name? She married to Chase.
Oh, Elma.
Elma Campbell.
Yeah.
All of us used to be in the bush the doctor, Dr. Campbell, who was a veterinarian. Some others that
And
don't
you
come
have
to
a
mind
secret
right now.
meetings, Rodney.
Secret meetings,
Wow.
that's right.
Wow.
Plotting to carry out political activities.
Yeah.
And so, you know, Pentad, those was little boys, you know, and who we groomed. Carl Bettel, you know, not too long, come back from college, you know. So that was the, Rodney's called it the back of the bush.
Yeah.
But
How did you determine who would be the good ones and who would be the bad ones? So because Rodney counted that, you know, him and Brother Jacks knew the ones that would be good political figures out there and the ones who just couldn't find their way. How did you all make that determination?
well, that determination was based on things they would say in the meeting and how qualified they was.
Right.
You know, Carl Bettel was highly qualified. He came back with his law degree and
Really?
with
He went
honors.
to SAC. He went to SAC, I think.
With honors,
Or
you
wherever
know.
he went.
And
No, not SAC. He was-
at the time, Pentad was still in COB.
Okay.
He was in love with one of Rodney's cousin,
Okay.
and excuse me. And so one of the mistakes Carl Bettel made is as he moved up the ladder, he didn't pull people like Rodney and myself up with him, which would have given him a base
Right.
in the FNM.
Right. He had no team.
He had no team. Carl Bettel would have perhaps been the leader of the opposition right now, the FNM,
Wow.
if
Boy,
he had
we
a
dodged the
base.
bullet.
If he had a base.
Yeah, we dodged that bullet.
He never, he didn't have a base. And I always tell him, I say, you know, Rodney and I and all the groups who used to be together would have been your base in FNM.
Yeah. He would have benefited from the woman them for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The woman then was going to support him
Yeah.
wholeheartedly, 100%.
Because he could never have as much woman as Rodney. Not support it,
No,
not
no,
submit
no.
to his leadership.
No way
Yeah.
in this world.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's something I want to tell you all about what happened in the 80s when the PLP had their convention at the Holiday Inn Polaris Hall on Paradise Island at the time. So Lyndon, Ara, Hannah, Berlin Pratt, and someone else. They summoned us to the convention, and we went upstairs. And Penland being the man who is, the first thing he said it was me, Rodney, Philip Miller, and who else? Roman Nichols. You should know Roman Nichols. He's a former Marine, but he's a croupier now. And the first thing Sir Lyndon said to us, what you guys want? Because we was a pain in Penland's side.
Yeah.
We demonstrated against. He said, what you guys want? You, Rodney, you and Jack seem to be good political activists, carrying out a lot of political activities. What y'all want? And we were so green, young and green,
Right.
living. We tell Penland we don't want nothing.
Yeah. All I want is more black card.
Right. And Penland said, listen, man, we forming the youth arm of the PLP,
Yeah.
which is the Progressive Long Liberals. Rodney, you and Jacks could take that over and run that. We said, man, we don't want that.
Yeah.
We were young and green and stupid,
Yeah,
I think,
yeah.
you know. But we did told Penland that we would like for him to legislate some laws whereby young people who got caught with a little joint, they can have their record expunged after maybe a year or two, because we're only making criminals, but our young people will, you know, get caught with a little joint or half bag of grass or something like that, you know. And particularly after his son got caught with a joint and is able to get away. And we say, that's what we'd like for you to do, Mr. Prime Minister. Put a law in place where young people could have their record expunged, because a lot of people can't even get a job because spending a year in prison for one joint, can't even travel, you know.
Because they smoked dope once.
Right.
Right.
And Penland look at us, he say, not a bad idea, guys. I'm going to consider that. That's not a bad idea. It's like, you know, a lot of young people in a predicament where they can't travel and find jobs because that one little cigarette was on their record.
Yeah.
But you know when Sir Lyndon and the PLP implemented that? In 1990, 2 years before they was dethroned.
Wow.
But I was happy that it happened in any event, you know, because I could have sit back and say, boy, Rodney Penland finally implemented our idea, even though he ain't say it was ours. It seemed like Pintat stole you. Pintat
So
stole your idea.
Pintat get that from Finland.
So I remember that crossed my mind right there. I said, boy.
Oh man, I thought this was a new thing. This has been happening a little while. All right. So I mean, you heard about your friend of 50 years. Oh, I'm gonna say almost instant demise. You know, people ask me the question, Brother Jackson. I say it as respectfully as I know how. Was Rodney sick? I say, I never know Rodney to be healthy. From the day I meet Rodney, he had little ailment here, little ailment there.
Yes, yes.
So to say he wasn't sick would be a lie.
It'd be a big lie.
But I don't know his sickness to ever be unto death,
Well,
right?
Rodney never really exposed his sickness to
Right.
too many people.
Right.
Okay? I was one who knew.
Right.
You know, he had multiple things going wrong.
Yeah,
with him.
yeah.
Multiple things, you know. And he never exposed that. And in fact, he used to tell me, Jax, I don't want you to tell anybody this because...
I don't want people getting emotional.
Right.
Right.
And not only that, he don't want people making sport of him.
Okay.
You know, because you got some people who are wicked enough to you know, throw that in your face,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So several reasons he told me to keep it quiet.
So your friend meets his demise almost like a thief in the night, just at the shadow of dark. 1:30 in the morning, 1:35 in the morning, and there's about. He tiptoes out. I mean, I don't know when you get the news, but
I
what is
got
it?
the news immediately.
What is it like getting that call though, and knowing that someone that you've known that the universe has bent its access to put you all in each other's way, right? Because that in itself is a miracle. For you to meet somebody that will have meaning and worth in your life, so many little miracles have to take place in order for that one miracle to transpire. And for the universe to have bent its axis in such a way that a Nicholas Jax would run into a Rodney Mudka and that journey would last for 50 years. How does it feel when you get to day last and you know it in your heart that even in our falling outs, when we didn't talk to one another for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, even in the times when I say I was going to cut you off, even in the times when I say I wasn't going to talk to you no more, what does it feel like to finally know the date that this day here is going to be the last day that I ever hear my friend again?
Leon, that was such a blow to me. I can't even remember how I felt.
Wow.
You know, it was such a heavy blow, and I had to tell Dion at the time,
Yeah.
International. I said, Dion, I say you're pulling a prank on me because him
Yeah.
called me.
Right, yeah.
Him called me from the hospital. So I said, Dion, stop your foolishness. I say, I know you and Rodney pull a lot of pranks on people, but
Yeah.
he said, Jax, this ain't a prank this time. I serious.
Wow.
You know, and listen, I started grieving right away.
Wow.
I started grieving right because Rodney not only my best friend. When I met my wife, Rodney and I went to his mother one day just to get some food because she was a very good cook, and she cooked some peas and grits for us.
Okay.
And when I get in, I introduced my wife to Rodney's mother. We used to call her sister.
Mm-hmm.
So I say, sister, this is my fiance. She walk over to my wife at the time and say, child, you got Jax? Well, you better have Rodney too,
Yeah.
because you got a package deal.
Yeah, them 2 peas come in one pot.
Right, she say, Rodney's my son and this my son, so you got a package deal. So she adopted me immediately.
Yes, sir.
And so Rodney meant to tell people I was his best friend, but I was actually his brother.
Yeah.
We lived that way. I could pick up the phone any day and call Rodney and say, Rodney, I need $1,000. I bring it in the car and I fall short and pay the tariff on it. He say, listen, where you are? I say, well, I had to wait. He said, well, meet me down at the bank now. $1,000. I'll pay him back probably a week or two later, but that's how we live. I could have given Rodney my house key and said, Rodney, go by me, and I have some money, this place in my house. You get it and bring it for me, please.
Yeah.
Sometime Rodney and his wife moved down by me for weeks. He said he liked to come down there because feel like he on vacation.
Yeah.
Because he ain't gonna travel on no
Yeah,
plane.
yeah, I know he ain't got on no
So
plane.
he would come down, me and him and his wife, and he'd use one of my empty bedrooms. Him and his wife be there for weeks.
Yeah.
And did the kind of things, and that's the way we live.
I remember he was such a good friend to you that you invite him to your house for dinner one night and he invite me. me and Mr. International. And I said, well, Rodney, how you can invite me to Jack's house? He said, how you mean?
That's right. You were.
Jack's invite me. I invite you.
That's right.
And we came down, we had soup. It was wonderful down there that evening. I think
If Rodney invite you, you're safe.
Yeah, he said that. He said, what you mean? If I invite you to Jack's house, Jack's invite me.
That's right.
So, I watched you too. Of course, I am at least a yardstick behind you all in age, right? And
how old are you now anyway? Let me ask you on public.
40.
Man, I got
That's
four,
2 yards.
I got 4 children older than you.
My God. see that? Sidebar, Brother Jax. I tell these people I won't be a biddy so bad there, believe me. You hear Brother Jax right here on TV say, I still eligible to be a biddy.
Yeah, he's still eligible.
Yeah, I can be a biddy right now.
Yeah, I got 4 children older than you.
Okay, good.
Out of the 8.
All right.
Yeah.
So, but to watch you too, I mean, and there were instances where Rodney was certainly the more eccentric one, the more bombastic one, the one that could jeer the crowd on. But make no mistake about it, the reason I think Rodney was permitted to behave that way is because he knew that if anyone was putting their hand on Rodney Munker, they had to carry Jax too.
At his back.
Yeah.
But a lot of people don't know that Rodney and I have similar personalities and characteristics. That's why we got along so well. We born under the same sign,
Right.
the zodiac. But I could be just as bombastic
Rambunctious,
as,
yeah.
as Rodney. But since you always take the lead,
Yeah.
he don't give me a chance.
He don't give you a chance.
Yeah, you know.
While you warming up Rodney and overheating.
That's right. Yeah.
Ah, boy, it's gonna be really interesting seeing what the political landscape now is like without a Rodney Munker, seeing what TV and media landscape will be like now without the voice and the mind of a Rodney Munker. The satire is the purest I've ever seen. Someone that is able to teeter on the line of the rule of law in the way that Rodney Munker has done is unparalleled.
Yeah.
And so, what a gap like that, though. I mean, do you think it is a gap that we ever close? Do we ever somehow begin to live in a world where a Rodney Munker isn't a constant? Because my mind still hasn't figured that out yet. I'm actually gonna write the king. I want him to make the word Rodney Munker an adjective in the English dictionary.
Well, the gap is going to close, but it's going to take a while.
Yeah.
It's going to take a while. But the good thing about it, Levin, you perhaps are the excellent person to continue his legacy.
Thank you.
You know, you perhaps, you and spiritual advisor, you know, and it's just a matter now, the methodology you will use to close that gap. But people already like you. They always love spiritual advisor. And you just now have to decide what methodology you're going to use to do that.
Yeah.
But it's a task, I'm telling you that much.
Yeah, listen, somebody asked me, do you think you could fit the shoe? I tell them, I don't know if I have enough foot, because I could put the 2 of my foot in one shoe, but that could leave me with an extra shoe, right? But it is such an interesting honor, right? I tell people, I like the Jamaican saying, God, man writes his plan in the sand and God takes his foot and rub it out, right? The Jamaicans will say that.
No.
Among all my plans written in the sand, this wasn't in there. So God didn't even need to take your foot and rub this one out. This wasn't in there. And so, like, it is still one of those things that you haven't, that you've accepted, sure, but you still wonder the how. How am I where I am? Because this wasn't what was expected or anticipated. I intended to sit at home and listen to Rodney run on about all the things that I had said, right? Because, you know, he's Roman Catholic, I'm Church of God. Of course, I wear my Christianity a little more flexible than he did. So some things ain't as sinful to me as they are to Rodney. And I like to see how sinful they could get before we stop, right? But Rodney, on the other hand, is a bull nose. And immediately things are either good or sinful. And once he has already calculated that you're not saved, he's not dealing with any of that. So I was anxious about seeing his commentary about what had transpired in his absence. Regrettably, none of us will get to see that.
No, you can't see it. But Rodney was he had high morals, I know.
I know.
High morals, so he put a sin on any little thing.
I can tell you that.
I see Rodney castrate his dog. Which, dog have no principle, whether that's their mother or their sister.
This is a sinful dog.
Yeah. But he said, that's your mom, what you doing?
Yeah.
Rodney castrate his dog.
Wow, it's a good thing Rodney is down into the gate, because I don't think I could make it in.
You may not.
Oh boy. But it is good also, Brother Jacks, to even in the grieving period, find pieces of him to laugh about.
Yeah.
And if he's done nothing else, he's brought laughter. So we go on to the break, Brother Jacks. Any final words this week?
Well, final words. You want me to say that after the break or now?
Sure, now.
Yeah, I don't know what the final words would be, because all I can say is let's pray that Rodney make it in, and pray that I mourn comfortably, and you all continue to support the show with Levin and Spiritual Advisor.
Welcome back to Freedom March. Thank you so much for staying with us. I mean, Nicholas Jacks, what can you say? I shall never forget Nicholas Jacks. I was a young 29-year-old, recently resigned member of His Majesty's Navy, gone as a bus operator and franchise operator Glennis Hannah Martin wake up one day, her and Ross Smith, I don't know if they ate too much pork chop that night before they go on sleep, but collectively they came out and decided they was moving the bus stop with immediate effect from Royal Bank Bay Street. And I say, what? That don't happen like that. Because I know that the rules said that it had to be gazetted and la da 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 and all this other stuff, and there needed to be a meeting and blah blah blah. And we protested. And I'd heard the name Nicholas Jacks, but had never met him before. And we agreed that we would meet downtown to protest, and I get that, I tell them, wave over the bus. And the people say, Leon Bettle say, Leon Bettle came to me and said, Levan Miller, gave me my address, the house color, gave me the house color, your mommy name is, give me my mom name, your daddy name is, give me my daddy name. If you believe that I will let one man hold up this entire Bay Street, I'll tear off my police uniform and walk naked in the road before that happens. And that will never happen. So you must know that this will not happen. I remember Jack say, well, my brother, if Levan lock up, y'all gotta lock up Jacks too. And it was from that day to this day that I have the greatest respect for Nicholas Jacks, because, boy, I wasn't sure if I was getting locked up for a Negro, I don't know. But he was ready to fight for the cause, and so I appreciate him for that. Anyway, spiritual advisor, what are we doing first? Want to go to some birthday shout-outs?
Yeah, I think we should do that. Yeah.
Okay, let's go to some birthday shout-outs, and then you can let me cut Shannon on God right out.
Well,
I have to cut Shannon on God right. Or you want me to cut Shannon on God right, and then we go to the birthday shout-outs? Which one you want to do first?
You ready?
Let's go to the birthday shout-outs.
Yeah, let's do them quickly. Aiden Forbes. Mm-hmm. We want to say happy birthday to Aiden Forbes. Today is his birthday. Happy birthday, Aiden. We hope you live to enjoy many more. And of course, we hope you enjoyed your birthday today. Samantha Barr. Happy birthday to Samantha Barr, who celebrated her birthday on Saturday. Saturday past. Greetings coming from her mother, sisters, brothers, aunts, uncles, family, and friends. Do hope you had a great day, Samantha Barr. Timothy Johnson. I'd like to wish Bishop Timothy Johnson and NASA happy birthday, coming from your family in Ireland, especially your cousin Shami. She enjoyed the birthday. Producer, the star from Alive. Who's this?
This Bishop Johnson.
Oh, okay. Happy birthday to you. We hope you live to enjoy many more, and of course, we hope you enjoyed your birthday. The star from Alive did something very interesting with deepest sympathy. They sent this to me. Sent to Mr. Munca's family. Sorry, it's with deepest sympathy from the staff at Alive. We do appreciate your condolences and greetings, and may God continue to bless the staff at Alive. Thank you so much. What else we doing? Is that it?
That's it? Yeah. So if you've been anywhere around this country over the last couple of weeks, you know that everything been on fire. East Street was on fire yesterday. Did you know that?
Yeah, I've seen some photos.
Now, I want to let you know, I don't want you all to light these fire nowhere next to the buildings that is alleged is owned by millionaires now, because that fire was a little too close to a millionaire building. And I just think that if you only burn down the buildings that belong to the millionaires, people can start to think that it's suspect. So you got to burn down some poor people building too, if you will make it look real, if you're really starting these fires. That's what I want to say. All right? Now that I say that, Shannon on Cartwright. You know who Shannon on Cartwright remind me of? Beres Hammond has a song.
He's a good guy now, so be
He's
careful.
lost. He's lost.
Be careful what you say.
He is lost like a rudderless ship.
Wow.
Beres Hammond has a song that
He's
says,
once and man was twice, though.
lost as a... My cesspit been taken in cesspit water from the day we built the house. What does that mean?
But he's good for
That
something.
my cesspit is good for... Good, man. Anyway.
Yeah.
Jack is a mark and he comes around every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, every day of the week. Even though I try to tell you that I love you from the bottom of my heart, you have no place for me because you was all in the vanity and you fall for one of what? Or you too safe. You fell for one of them sweet lies. You remember that? Shannon on Carter, there's no way in the world we can start a whole fire department with $10 million. $10 million in government is akin to $100 Remember when you was a baby and your daddy, well, not a baby, but a young person and your daddy gave you $100? If someone give you $100 now for your birthday spiritual advisor, you will spend $100 before you leave their company almost. $10 million in relation to government affairs is like an adult dollar.
It's a good start.
It is a nothing. Okay, let's check your statement.
It's a good
See, because
start.
you can't just claim anything, you know. I keep telling people, you can't just let spuke come out of you
How much is
and
it?
let people write it down and assume that because they wrote spuke down that it should be sensible.
How much does one fire truck cost?
We can't talk about fire truck yet. Here are some questions. Where is it going to be based out of?
Okay.
No, okay, my left foot. Where is it going to be based out of? So we haven't even decided on location yet. So we don't know what the hell the rent could be yet, or what the purchase of the building could be, or what the refitting could be, or what it could cost to get the building occupiable for people to go and operate out of there 24-hour rotations. That's what you suggesting to me? Or let me guess, we can leave it right where it is now, where it is completely not functioning perfectly. So where did you get the $10 million pie in the sky number from? Okay, how many people are gonna be in our initial recruitment? It can't be the same bunch of old firefighters I see out of breath trying to fight the fire yesterday. All of them look like they need to go home and collect their pension. So that means we need to hire a cadre of young men and women. Well, how much of them you think you need? I don't know. Let's just on average say 100. Okay, you doing some maths?
No, I want to look at the statement and see what he says.
Oh boy, well you look for the statement. If we hire 100 young people and we pay them normal young people salary, because it can't be minimum wage, we taking that out of $10 million? We ain't get the fire truck yet. Anybody who started an argument at fire truck can't talk to me because you never run nothing in your life. See, this is what has happened when you have fellas that never run nothing in their life. They never make a payroll. They never do nothing in their life. They never leverage their finances. They never leverage their family's comfort. Nothing. But all of a sudden, they're subject matter expert. So let's just say you get 100 people. How much you pay a man to manage 100 people and $20 million or $30 million, or let's use Shannon Dawn's ridiculous number, or $10 million in assets?
Well, he didn't say exactly 10. He said at least, which means
So why you say at least 50? Why you say at least 40?
at least.
He planned to go to the FS for $10 million. And the two fire trucks I saw online today cost $1.7 million. So if we spend the whole $10 million on trucks, we still don't have enough trucks for every inhabited island because it's 12 of them. So tell me how this plan is a workable plan. So what are we gonna do? Put one fire truck on each island? And what's gonna happen on a day like last week when we got two fires on Nassau in two different locations?
Well, he says at least 10 million to secure.
You want me to play the violin while you tell me this sad story?
25 new fire trucks and a fire,
Where did he get that number from?
a firefighting plane. So,
Spiritual advisor. He talking about a 1976 fire truck, what used to be on the Looney Tunes, which is exactly where he should be. Because I don't know where he get this magic number from. Okay? We ain't know where the building could be yet. We ain't know how much Negroes we got to employ yet. We ain't know what the state of the building is or the land is where we plan to put these people. We ain't know who the director could be. And you know we like to hire white people when we start things. What we could pay the white man who come to start it. Y'all gonna have to help me with this number.
So, I mean,
I want Shannon Dawn Cartwright to go and hide himself under a bushel. And stop letting people write down stupid things. Stop letting your leader focus on stupid things like the fire when y'all ain't named no candidates yet, so we have no clue who this government could be. Which should be of paramount importance since your leader say that he think the election could be early. And then you think it's only my concern. But producer, we got the clip? Let's find out what the other Negroes are thinking about since Michael Pintard, through premonition or I don't know, clairvoyancy, knows that the election is going to be early. Yet he concerns himself with some bogus number about some bogus fire trucks that no expert has advised them on, and they just spew it out in the sky when here is what they should be focusing on.
You're speaking again as the opposition leader. Yes, you are. But guess what? You're telling us what you're going to do once you become the government, and you're going to go ahead and you're going to fix this issue. You have not even fixed the Free National Movement as yet. Okay? You have not given us even anyone to vote for. There's no one to vote for. There's 5 of you presently. 5. There's 39 seats. That means that 34 of you are missing. 34 people missing simply tells me you're not even the royal opposition proper, much less the government. Show us a government that we can believe in first, and then we will give you the opportunity to speak as you're now speaking, that you can fix something. Right now, you've not proven to us that you can fix anything because you've not even fixed your own F&M team.
But Garth, let's be fair. Now, the F&M has been stalling in its rollout of its candidates.
And so you're going to stall when you have to go and fix Grand Bahama too. You're a stalling person. That's what I can see. Now, you have to change that, Shanika, and show me that you're a very aggressive person and you get things done. This is what Hubert Ingram did. He got things done. He meant what he said what he was going to do.
He's being
that's
strategic.
Who he was.
He's being strategic.
Ain't no strategy and slowfulness. None.
And I agree. Listen to me. This is how you know Jesus is real. Because I typically don't agree with anything God Rosborough say. It was like a light from heaven when I heard God's pronouncement that how is a fella that can't pick 39 people, he can't figure out how to do that, gonna figure out how to do something as elaborate as start a whole fire safety and emergency, what y'all gonna name it? What are you gonna name? See, because that depends on what size the budget could be, spiritual advisor. You all even ain't give it a name yet. What is the name? Because if you say fire safety, right, that's one bill. Emergency services, that'll be another bill. If you're missing, put the word and evacuations in the name, that's another bill. Because evacuation would mean you need some helicopter. If we do an emergency service, that would mean you need some ambulance with bigger bed than the ones we got now. You agree with that?
Okay.
And if you put fire service at the beginning, that means if you put the word national in this, we talking about fire service in New Providence, and we also talking about it in Landrell Point. Agree? So tell me, pray tell, where you get this $10 million number from? Put up this thing, Shannon on them right down, being silly. So the people, because I don't want them to think I'm making these things up. You can't just, listen, if you, do me a favor. Everyone in the opposition, do me a favor. Go home today, take all the pork chop out your deep freeze and throw it in the garbage.
The starting point is 10. At least.
That is foolishness.
You're going to start with 10.
And when are you going to go back for the next 10?
And build from there.
Mikhail Wannabe can't get people reoccurring checks paid on a timely basis. You know why? Trying to go back to the FS to get money is worse than trying to pull the back teeth out of a shark. So when Shannon Dawn and this bunch go and get $10 million spiritual advisor, you use the Shannon Dawn man. I hope he run this by you, because you can't just eat pork chop late in the nighttime and then wake up and write nonsense. Stop eating pork chop late in the night. That's not good for you. And then you write this thing down, and then the FS gives you this $10 million, because they're probably going to call election in May, spiritual advisor, which will then mean that whatever you write on that budget projection is exactly what you will have July 1. By August 1, you should then spend the 10. So what we can do for 1 year, let the whole place burn to the ground while we wait to recruit. We can let the whole place burn to the ground while we wait to procure. We can let the whole place just burn to silt, because remember, it ain't gonna be the commissioner problem no more. Have we considered how we're gonna attach the defense force into this? Or we just eating pork chop late in the nighttime and waking up and talking about hot flash dreams? Put it back up, because I want to read it, and I want these people to read it, because I want you all to not let people just say stupid things. Read it. F&M Deputy Leader and Shadow National Security Minister Shannon Dawn Cartwright, in a statement, shared new details regarding the F&M's emergency response plan under a future Pintard administration. Right? There's nothing new about this detail. You all are going to start an emergency response unit. Unfortunately, we have a government accustomed to living large on the people's dime. Meanwhile, Bahamians can't be sure they'll get an ambulance or a fire truck or a police officer when they need one most. We can do better than this. That's why the next F&M government will make at least $10 million capital investment into 25 new fire trucks. I want to put the pin right there. Boom. Where he get this bogus 25 number from? And if all the $10 million for is to buy the trucks, what in Christ's name we can pay the people with? What we can rent the building with? What we can clear the land with? What we can put in new fire hydrant infrastructure with? Are the trucks gonna be saltwater capable? Well, I want you all to tear these things up.
I mean, do they really have to reveal all that now just to make a point?
What he could have done was leave out this whole silly line about, unfortunately, we have a government accustomed to living large on the people's dime, because no one gives a flying frisbee about that. Meanwhile, Bahamians can't be sure they'll get an ambulance, a fire truck, or a police officer. Every one of the 3,600 people that make up the Royal Bahamas Police Force should be they should throw salt in the fire at this statement, because who else running into the fire right now? Who else driving the ambulance on the Family Islands right now? Who else running on Pookie them right now? And if you run into Corporal 3118 Jarvis Roll, he ain't playing around. Pookie them stand no chance against him. So you saying to me that Jarvis Roll, who locked me up so decently, and Inspector Gator, who incarcerated me so decently, that's the best locking up I ever see in my whole life. You mean to tell me that them two officers ain't doing timely responses? This is how you know that these people are somewhere in La La Land with unicorns and rainbow sprinkles and should never see government at any time in the next decade. That's my position on it. Let's read it a little further. He goes on to say that they can buy 25 new fire trucks and firefighting plane. A plane could be in this too? We can get a plane too for 10 million. This monopoly. So hold on, man. So hold on. Walk me through it slow. I like to go through slow. So we can get 25 truck. We can also get, how much plane we can get, Shannon, on? We can get a firefighting plane. This is what Cartwright said. Then he continued by saying, as our leader stated, the next F&M government will establish a standalone fire department. The fact that you're still calling it a department means that it's going to come under something. It can't be the firefighting department. It have to just be standalone, Cartwright. Let's continue. And its head will report to the Prime Minister or the minister responsible, led by a senior official. Well, what we could pay this senior official? Because I imagine his salary could be the same thing as the Commodore's. I don't know who will do it for less than that. And if you got to call decent Ken Strawn back out of retirement, boy, I think y'all could pay Ken, right? But he's the best guy I could think about coming to my mind right now. So what you can pay him, right? It will be structured similarly to the police, defense, and corrections leadership. Oh, let's slow down. Oh, we got to slow down because I want to walk through it slow now. So one Negro can't run this is what you're saying to me. You saying to me that for your $10 million, producer, because if I'm wrong, help me. We can get 25 truck. Check. For one $10 million, we can get plane too. Check. For your one $10 million, Shannon on, we can get, what to say? A senior official. I don't even know what that means. So someone who makes $65,000 a year. Check. Minimum. But the fellow we pay the $65,000 a year to can't do it by himself. So you know what that means? We can need to hire like 5 or 6 other senior officials. And what we can pay them? And then what we can pay the 100 people we recruit? And here's a better question. While we asking questions for people who writing silly things on paper. Where we can train them? Are we gonna build a training facility here, spiritual advisor? Or are we going to fly them to America and train them? Are we going to train them under British standard? Or are we going to train them under American standard? Or are we going to send them to Canada? Where will they go? How long will they stay? You hear your $10 million ain't answered none of them questions yet?
I'm waiting on them.
And you intend to do this, right? Because I can tell you, Brave calling the election, Michael Pintard, May 5th, 2026. Stop looking for it before that, right?
How do you know it's May 6th?
The wind and tell me that.
Okay.
And the wind tell me Floyd to be the Commodore?
Well, the wind
Who was the Commodore?
The wind tell Michael Pentard early election.
And I tell you, Rodney said he wanted to leave Michael Pentard in the wilderness. So I don't trust him. Now, and he letting Shannon on come out here and call these hocus pocus numbers. Right? You can't just roll the dice and call the number with a pair. That's not how government works. And they would have known this spiritual advisor if him and Marvin Dames them wasn't out to lunch in the last administration. But because they all tucked their tails in and let one fella be in charge of the whole kit and caboodle, now none of them know what governance should take. And the one bright spark, they let Minister fire him. So the whole cabinet and its executive chairmen have no clue how you run a government, and subsequently, they think $10 million is a whole lot of money. But $10 million in government is of no consequence. The government probably spent $10 million on the speed bump Glennis put through Minnie Street. $10 million is non-material. It's like silt. $10 million in government gets nothing done. And we can start a whole, what we can name it, Shannon, on? Tell you what, write the name down so we can at least start calling it the name. We can start a fire department. You see how that don't make no sense? So this fire department, are they gonna be responsible for evacuations? This fire department, they got any function other than just sitting down waiting on fire. So we could just pay fellas, 100 of them, a recurring salary to wait on a fire. That sounds smart. Don't eat pork chop in the nighttime, man, Shannon Dawn. That's what I want to say to you. Not only is it bad for your ideas, it's also bad for your neck. Don't eat pork chop in the nighttime. $10 million has to be the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard for 25 trucks and a plane. And okay. Breed leaving. Where we park in the plane, spiritual? You waiting on the Winnie?
No, I'm waiting on Sean Law's reply.
He can't answer you because he know he lost. He probably somewhere in the wilderness.
This man you need to speak to directly. It gotta be.
I could just read what he say. You don't want me to just read what he say?
I read it.
Where we gonna park the plane, Shannon on? It could be in the south. Well, what if it's in Inagua and the fire take place in Grand Bahama? Because I could tell you, it'll take Charlie 6 2 hours to get from Nassau to Inagua. Well, what kind of plane you all buying to get me from Inagua to Grand Bahama faster than that? Who will fly the plane? We sending anybody to train to do that? Or we could just hire a pilot? Because you ain't gonna pay him public service salary. Come on, man. Come on, man. Come on. Let's talk about something else, because I could feel Shannon Ann raising up my pressure, right? And Marvin Dames right behind him, talking about how, yes, it's such a wonderful idea. Marvin Dames used to be the deputy commissioner of police, you know. He couldn't tell none of the commissioners ahead of him how it was a silly idea to be responsible for Pookie them at the fire. Pookie them killing 120 people a year. I must look out for fire too? And Marvin Dames was deputy commissioner under which commissioner? It wasn't Greenslade?
Yeah, it was him.
It was Greenslade? So you mean Marvin Dames was deputy commissioner under the voice commissioner based on the murder numbers? 147, isn't that the number? And this the fella I must take advice from?
Yeah, anyhow.
Oh boy. Anyway, let's go to the break so I can stop cursing on Shannon on. When I come back, I'm gonna be calm. I will talk to the wind and I will say, wind, keep me calm. Until then, you don't go nowhere. I'm here. Bradley Roll is here. He waiting to hear from the wind. Shannon on probably can't find his phone. But we'll be back after this break. Welcome back to Freedom March. Thank you so much for staying with us through the break. We're on 103.5 FM The Beat. We're on channel 224, that's on cable, channel 112, that's on Flow. We're also on ILTV Studios on Facebook. Be sure to watch us every day. As a matter of fact, I don't say the call signs for you that are already listening. I say it so that you could remember to call your friend and tell your friend to listen to us. Because what else are they listening to, right? And so I'm calm. Shannon Oncarter isn't boiling up my pressure anymore. But spiritual advisor, I found something in my archives, right?
Tanya?
We have Tanya? Let's go to Tanya first. But I want you to see this for all of those who have any questions when we get back from Tanya. Hello, Tanya.
Make every moment unforgettable with Shop Smart. From colorful floaties and water guns to light vests that keep fun safe. We've got everything you need to dive into the season. Planning a beach picnic? We've got the cutest sets and coolest bubbles to bring the vibes. And don't forget our trendy swimwear for all ages. Summer starts here, only at Shop Smart. Your Miracle, number 122 Marquis Street.
Well, thank you so much, Tanya. So, for those of you that were, I guess, or that have never seen this, right? I found this in my archive, spiritual advisor. Here's my Rodney moment.
Welcome back to Freedom March, broadcasting live on ILTV channel 224 and BTC Flow TV 112. Cable Bahamas has been sabotaging me, and I've been praying that thunder and lightning will strike them in their antenna, because it is wicked that Mr. Ingram, who gave them all of this concession, that they're not operating efficiently. So Lord, it is my prayer that thunder and lightning will strike them. Booyaka! Well, my special guest is 30-year-old Levon Miller III. Mr. Miller is the independent candidate for South Beach. He's also a candidate that I really think I owe a favor to, because last year he joined me in leading thousands of Negro women and Conky Joe women who also became saved, as we led them peacefully across the river. We emancipated them from so-called gender equality. And as a result of his good works, just leading thousands of women to reject gender equality, you receive an award from me. And first of all, let me welcome you to Freedom March. And you did receive an award for your great service to the woman them. What award did we give to you?
Well, thank you, Senator. Thank you for having me here, and congratulations on your ascension to TV. But I think I was bestowed with the Gideon Sword of Valor for protecting the women and leading them across the sea of referendum, I think it was.
This is powerful.
Yeah, and I was also bestowed with, I don't know if it is the indefinite chairmanship of the Save the Woman movement, but I was also bestowed with the, not chairmanship, the directorship, sorry. So I am the director.
You were actually in charge of young women.
Yes. Yeah. I was put in charge of all women 30 and under.
Yes, this is powerful.
And so I am the director of Save the Woman Them.
This is great.
Yes, and holder of the Gideon Sword.
So you are an independent candidate.
I am.
Let me start off.
And so there you see it. 10 years ago, I was bestowed with the Gideon Sword of Valor and made indefinite chairman of the Woman Dem and director of the Save the Woman Dem movement, with responsibility at that time for all of the young woman Dem, right? And so now, as interim leader of the Woman Dem, in the absence of our founding leader, I want to say that I would like for Mr. International, Theo Delancey, to become chairman of the Woman Dem, only this time with responsibility for all the old woman Dem. And I will, as interim leader, look at providing good leadership across all of the C's in life, like the C of referendum, and against Pookie them for all the women 40 and under. And so there you have it. If you are a woman 40 and under, you come to me. If you are a woman over 40, you go to Mr. International for leadership and guidance. And if he runs into a problem that is too great, he and I will have a caucus on it, at which time we will invite the spiritual advisor to give us holy scripture and spiritual insight. And we'll be able to figure it out. But among the women them is a saved woman spiritual advisor, I understand, by the name of Miss Agatha Williams. And so, because she's so safe, although she is outside of the 40 and under bracket, I will assume responsibility for her as the interim leader until such time as I am able to get her firmly in my grasp as interim leader of the woman. So that is my Rodney moment. I was very happy to see it. It's funny how Facebook never lets you forget anything. That actually popped up today as my Facebook memory.
Oh, okay.
And that was pretty cool. All right, so the phone lines are open. You can call us. We could talk about several things. Let me tell you what all we could talk about, because I'm going to talk about hocus pocus things today. Where were you on the Sunday when the call came that our boys had been attacked at sea? Or where were you on the Monday? Because some of you never found out until Monday when you got the news, right? We could talk about, I guess, whether or not you think it's a good idea to take an inanimate object like the blue marlin. Oh, that's not inanimate, it's an actual fish. Whether it's fun to take the blue marlin off the $100 bill and replace it with the HMBS Flamingo, that's my one lobby. Whether or not you think the HMBS survivors should get life insurance, I feel. And whether or not we should have HMBS Flamingo parks all over the Family Islands. We could also talk about Shannon Noncat, right, and his $10 million. But boy, I can tell you one thing. You all must see can fire Simon Wilson, because boy, when Simon give you that first $10 million, you stand a better chance squeezing milk out of the breast of a snake than getting more money from the AFS. But who knows? Maybe you're into squeezing snake breasts. I don't know. But in my estimation, the only thing $10 million can pay for is the bear that you could buy so that me and my friends could come and give you some advice. So here's what you should do with the $10 million. Go buy some beer. I can invite some of my tactically trained friends. I got some of them, Gunny and Richie and Eric and who else? Chief Smith and fellas who actually fight fire. And then we can sit down and drink your $10 million worth of beer. And by the time as we get to the end of the beer, you should actually have a real fire safety emergency response and evacuations unit. All right, so let's see what the callers have to say. Good afternoon, caller. Welcome to Freedom March.
Good afternoon, Miller.
Hi.
How are you?
Good.
And spiritual advisor.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. Now, spiritual advisor, I still waiting for number, because to be the spiritual, the leader of the woman them, you have to put your number out. Munker was more than just somebody you call. He was a confidant.
Right.
So you need to make your number available.
Okay.
You hear me?
I hear you.
Okay. So make that available. That's how you become leader of the woman them.
On the day of the funeral, I will make public my number for all the woman them to have.
All right.
Okay.
And there was something else I was supposed to talk about. I hear much of people talk about this blacklisting. What about this blacklisting? They still on the blacklist?
No, man, they ain't on the blacklist. Michael Alkidas fixed that.
But I hear one talking about
You forget we have a white attorney general. You think our white attorney general was going to leave us on a blacklist? That don't go together.
Hey, you need to stop. Now, the next thing. With the Flamingo, the day, that Sunday, around 11:30, 12 o'clock, call came in that the Flamingo was sunken by the Cubans, and they attacked them. I was conducting a choir.
Wow. Which church?
That's what happened, and that changed everything.
What church?
Yeah. Yeah, to hear that we've been under attack.
Which church you was directing the choir in?
Huh?
Which church you was directing the choir in? St. Barnabas?
No, man, in a Baptist church.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Never forget the 10th of May, 1980.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, caller.
Have a great one.
Give them the number, Spiritual.
323-7775 is the number to call. 698-0775 and 698-0776. We have any calls, producer? Welcome to Freedom March, caller.
Turn your radio down.
All right, let's go to another call. Sorry about that. Call, you got to call back. You got to turn your radio down, okay? Welcome to Freedom March, caller. You're live.
Hey, spiritual advisor.
Yes, sir.
Hey.
What's happening, Devon?
Hey, buddy.
What's happening? You did a good job of tearing that $10 million apart. But, man, that's the part of the share what we could put in with a PPP.
Oh, it could be a PPP too.
Huh?
Oh, it could be PPP too, you say?
With a PPP operation.
Okay.
Like, independent fire.
I think if you fool with that PPP, you go PPO, piss people off.
Well, we'll cross that bridge when we come to that. But
okay, no problem.
Like you say, it's going to be a very expensive operation, and we wouldn't be able to go that alone. We'll have to partnership with somebody who in that area until we could walk. Government walk by ourselves.
Well, firstly, we can need like a Canadian or an Englishman to come tell us how to do it. And don't be mad at that. They've been building institutions all their life, and they build the Defense Force for us.
Yeah, but okay. I'm agreeing with you.
So what I'm saying is, you think the white man come in for less than 100,000? Because I don't think so.
No, and that's why I say let's go.
Okay.
We have to go into some type of partnership in order to do the same thing with the prison. I think what we need to do with that prison is we need to source that prison out, and then, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to somebody who in that business, and then we take it, we go from there.
Yeah. But
you know
plus, caller, my point is, firstly, you got to name it. Let me tell you why. The name will determine how much money you need. You with me?
I listen.
So if you name it the national, from you put national in it, you need $50 million. Or let's just say 20 million. From you say the word national.
Yeah.
Fire and safety. Because fire is one thing. Safety is making sure you have a regulatory enforcement arm to go around and do inspection. Come close down places like the fish fry where we ain't getting all the fire things right out there. Things like that. You see what I'm saying?
See, Devon, we already have some skin in a private partnership game because we have ambulances, right, that we can convert into firemen and emergency fire technicians. We can amalgamate all of them together.
Right.
You understand? So we got about 50 of them. So we only need 50 more to train.
Okay. Now, how old they could be? Because I saw the firefighters yesterday, and everybody there look but 55-ish or there's about to me. You can't keep using these same old firemen. You need 18-year-old boys to run in the fire.
Well, there again, we keep the 50 that we have for a certain period of time, and we hire a new 50 or 60 so that they can steer them in the right direction. Then we have to let them go.
Like when I was 18, I could have catch a 7.62 and cool it in my hand. You know that, right?
I totally agree with you.
Yeah, but at 40, mister, if you throw the wooden stock of the SLR at me, I underneath the car.
Well, that's where you take the young fella under you and you show him how to do it, and then you bow out.
Yeah, I can show him how to cool bullet. I say you catch it like this, and then you blow it like that, and it'll be cool. Yeah, I got you.
But one more thing, spiritual, I would like to say a special hello to a special friend in Canada.
Okay.
The weather is changing now, so hi, Hester. How you doing? You listening? Mother's Day didn't go on. Happy belated Mother's Day. And it's back to work as usual today, eh?
Yep.
So, thanks for taking the call.
Appreciate you, caller. Get in the nose again,
Take care. 323-7775. Welcome to Freedom March. Call you live. You have to turn your radio down, please. All right.
Hey, you on?
Are you there?
Hello?
Hey.
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Spiritual advisor, Levan.
Hey, buddy.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad to see how you are picking apart that $10 million nonsense what Shannon Cartwright said. That's a slap in the face to the firefighters in this country. to the Bahamian people. You know, because when you look at it, $10 million can't even buy not even 6 fire trucks.
16 enough. We got Tahitian Island.
And not only that, you're looking at breathing apparatus. You're looking at bunker gears.
Yeah.
You're looking at all of the other equipment that comes along with those fire apparatus.
You're also looking at medical insurance.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
You know, so for him to say $10 million,
this boy lost.
When the F&M had a national plan under the last administration, that they pussyfoot around it.
Yeah, because they were pussy willow. That's why.
Yeah, I understand.
Mm-hmm.
But
and
I'm
pussy
glad
anonymous.
he said $10 million. He put a figure to it.
Yeah.
So, and you were correct. He pissed people off.
Yeah, that's what that could be.
Indeed. Y'all have a good day.
Appreciate it. I tell you, spiritual advisor, he should have teared his paper. Shannon, when you wake up and you feel things bubbling in your chest and you feel like that's a word from the Lord, what to do? Go by the woman around the corner who operating the 30-day. Get yourself a nice cold Coca-Cola. Take 2 big sucks out of that Coca-Cola and belch. And if after you belch, you still feel like you need to say this, then maybe you should. But I guarantee you, most times, once you belch, you wouldn't even need to say it anymore, because I could tell you, the only thing you could afford for $10 million is enough beer so that me and my friends who have some technical training could tell you how to start this thing. But I tell you one thing, don't think 10 million might be enough, because if you run out of beer, my brother, we gone. Anyway, let's take another call.
Welcome to Freedom March, call you live.
Hey, spiritual advisor.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Levan.
Hey, buddy.
First things first. You had all the women them standing up waiting to take picture. Yesterday you was a no-show. That's strike 1 for you.
Oh, God, yes.
Now, back now. Now, Shannon Dawn, at least
don't kill me.
Uncle
Tell the woman them to don't kill me, please.
No. I try to be a little politician on the side, so I made a good excuse.
Thank you.
But listen, now, Shannon Dawn has his uncle supporting him.
His uncle was the deputy when Pookie them was running rampage around this place.
But
so
that's still your uncle.
Yeah, but all I'm
let me
saying
ask
is
you
I ain't
something.
sure if that's the best place to take your advice from.
But Brother Levan, and I think spiritual advisor could get into this too. Is every fireman a police?
Yes.
So every police is a fireman then?
No.
So how that fixed?
It's
If
because
every fireman is a police, how come every police ain't a fireman?
But this is the problem I have. One of the greatest deterrents to being a fireman is they want me to go learn the penal code, and I ain't into that. I just want to come, I want to fight little fire. When the fire out, I want to drink beer and play dominoes. When fire come again, you call me, I put back on my breathing apparatus, I go fight fire. When the fire out, I go back to drinking beer and playing dominoes. Round here, if you're a fireman, right? When Pookie them get out of hand, they might say, hey, you over there, policeman who's dressed up like a fireman, come here. Where we going, sir? Through the corner here where Pookie them playing crazy. Now, you who only come here to fight fire, guess where you gotta go?
So every police is a traffic police.
Yes.
But every police ain't a fireman.
No.
But every fireman is a police.
Now, I just feel like the BGCSE, and I didn't tell you before I failed the math
What's
BGCSE
your point? What's your point about this, caller?
No,
My thing is,
yeah.
The firemen go through the same training as the police in the college.
Yeah, she already mentioned that.
Yeah.
So what difference does, what other different, they have an additional 2 months, 3 months to do fire work, to do fire training, or they graduate the same 6 months as everybody else, and then they
Yeah,
say,
no, they
you
go
to
do the lecture.
fire march,
They
you go this way, you go that way.
They just go and do fire training, and you have to. So they go and they do their evolutions, etc. The point I'm making is, it becomes a budgetary issue, you know. If the commissioner of police get, let's use Shannon our number, $10 million, what you think the commissioner going to buy, and Pookie them jumping out of these juke with the 2 foot and gun in hand? What you think the commissioner going to buy? You think she going to buy fire hose?
No, you going to buy more truck and things for them to mash up and
She
kill
going to
people.
buy gun. Because what Pookie them have?
Gun.
Okay,
Big
so
gun.
when the commissioner get $10 million, what you think she going to buy?
Big gun.
Aha! Now when the fire break out, right? She can say, well, Jesus, I had no fire in 6 months. I even didn't know you still need hose. What you mean we ain't got no hose? What happened to the hose I just buy last year? Then they can tell her, Mom, that hose dry rot because we ain't had no fire. She said, well, how come we ain't had no fire? They can say, because it wasn't nobody lighting none. She can say, well, who lighting these set? They can say, we suspecting them. Now she got to go look up in her budget to go buy hose because she spent all the money on
gun.
Okay. And that's why it can't be a part of the police force.
Then I can finish listening.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if they would spend the $10 million and buy me and my friends something, we could come and tell them this. Let's take another one, Spurgeon.
Welcome to Freedom March. Call you live.
Hello?
Hi.
How you doing, Spiritual Advisor, Mr. Miller?
Good.
Mr. Miller, you was asking a question if you can remember where you were when the Flamingo blew up.
Yeah, where you was when the Flamingo blew up?
Okay, I was at my friend's house. Her daughter got murdered on the 10th of May.
Wow.
And I was going home. When I came back home, we heard
about the Flamingo.
2 days after that, one of the guys came. I don't know if you remember Highland Johnson.
I only
remember Highland Johnson?
Highland Johnson. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, okay. He came to my house, me and my husband. Like I told him, my husband used to work on the fence force too, Joseph Forbes. He said,
I know Joe Forbes.
I can't take this. I can't take this. He said, Bon, look, Joe said, what happened? Y'all panicate. Them fellas panicate. You know? So he said, boy, I don't know. And you know that man was drinking, Mr. Miller, until he drank himself to death. Highland Johnson.
Wow.
My husband, good friend.
Wow.
And
That's very sad to hear.
One for my husband and one for my friend, daughter, who died on the 10th of May.
Wow.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Thank you very much for your call.
Right,
appreciate it.
6980775.
You giving it slow enough for the children now?
323-7775. Welcome to Freedom March. Caller, you live.
Hello?
You're live, caller.
Good day. Hope everyone's doing well.
Yes, sir.
All right, I just want to touch on the topic of pertaining to this $10 million thing. I did a little bit of research, and a new fire truck roughly costs $250,000, meaning $150,000. Why can't $10 million be enough to cover these costs? And before you answer, I am no AFN supporter. I don't support MES. I don't support that. I don't support.
You're breaking up a little bit, but I think I hear you say that you're not an FNM and all the fire trucks cost $250,000. That's what you say?
Not $1,000. Now, you buy a new fire truck or you buy a new fire truck. I don't think you need more than $10 million for this fire truck. That's something.
I really want to engage. You call it, but your call really coming in distorted. I feel like you are worth engaging, but I can't make out what you're saying. Is he still there or did he gone?
I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here.
Good. All right. So you say the fire trucks cost $250,000.
I'm saying it starts at $1 million. At $250,000.
$250,000.
And they range up to $1 million for a brand new truck.
About $1.7 million. Here's where you run into the difficulty. When you go to look at a fire truck, you have to look at capability. Does it have? Is it a ladder reel system? Or is it a bucket truck system? Is it a salt water compatibility? What is the range of the PSI push? Some of them only go up as far as 150 feet. That ain't enough. You need a fire hose that can at least.
I have an answer for that. You don't need to buy the same fire truck for every island now. Where there's fires that are occurring more often, then you need these fire trucks that could battle these big fires. And you mentioned something earlier about the fire trucks running down. No, you run a drill every month that you make sure the fire truck is up and running. Right? So you get where you're coming from.
I got you. Well, again, what about the plane? Where we can park that? Because to park that could cost about, I don't know, $200,000 a year. Okay, we lost him. Let's take one more, Spiritual.
Welcome to Freedom March. Caller, you're live. Are you there, caller? 323-7775. Welcome to Freedom March.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Spiritual Advisor and Mr. Miller. I heard you mention about the fire trucks. Mr. Miller, you seem to be a sharp guy. You mean to tell me you don't realize that Shannon Dawn, Cartwright, and Marvin Daines got that idea from you about getting a separate fire department?
I'm mad at them for that, you know. I'm mad at them for that.
Details. That's why they can't tell you nothing.
So all I say is, if your teeth die there from me, right?
They have to really
easy. All you
know
have
what
to
they
do is buy me beer.
talk, but they want to run a country. They're not ready.
Do you know, caller, that if you promise to buy me beer, I will show up almost anywhere? All they had to do is say, boy, Levin, we got $10 million. Come drink some beer with us, right? And I would have sit there and drink their free beer and tell them the whole plan in my head, right? But they even didn't figure out how to invite me for free beer so I could give them the plan. But anyway, Shannon Norton say $10 million. He must know.
He didn't say 10 million.
How he can get more money out of Simon Wilson after Simon give him the first 10?
Don't worry about that. He didn't say 10
This spiritual
million.
advisor ain't safe.
He said at least.
This spiritual advisor ain't safe.
The language is different.
Anyway, that's the jingle. We gotta go. I talking about the hotel tomorrow. We can talk about the hotel tomorrow?
Absolutely.
Show us the money! All right, Chester Cooper. We want to see the money. We'll talk about that radio on Freedom March tomorrow.